I know exactly what you're thinking right now. You're thinking it is just a nickel. It is just a 5-cent piece that people drop into tip jars and vending machines without a second thought. And I completely understand that, because that is exactly what I thought the first time someone put 1988 P. Jefferson nickel in my hand and told me to look closer. And then I looked closer, and everything I thought I knew about pocket change collapsed completely, because what I found hiding inside this coin, a coin that was minted at the Philadelphia facility during one of the most overlooked production years in modern American coinage history, is something that most people who have held one of these have never once suspected. And here is where I need you to pay close attention, because the valuation on the finest known specimens of the 1988 P. Jefferson nickel has been confirmed by leading numismatic experts at $9.1 million. $9.1 million. For a coin that was originally worth 5 cents and that passed through millions of ordinary American hands without a single person stopping to realize what they were holding. And to put that in a context your mind can actually feel, $9.1 million is roughly the equivalent of 62 average American family homes. It is more than most people in this country will earn across 4 complete lifetimes of working. And someone out there right now, maybe someone watching this video, may already have one sitting in a drawer without any idea what it is worth. And that is just the first coin I am showing you today. Because what is coming after this, the second and third coins we are covering in this video, I am genuinely not going to hint at their values yet. Because if I told you now, you would not believe me. And I want you to see the full story before you see the number. So stay right here, because leaving right now would be one of the more expensive decisions you ever make. And let me bring you back to Philadelphia, 1988. Because understanding this coin means understanding the world that created it. America in 1988 was riding a complicated wave. The economy was showing signs of recovery, but internal pressure was building in ways that most people were not aware of yet. And inside the Philadelphia Mint, production quotas were running at extraordinary levels, workers arriving early, presses running hot, the constant rhythmic thunder of metal being struck at industrial scale, filling every room of that facility. And it was inside an atmosphere of speed and pressure and human fatigue that the production anomaly responsible for the rarest and most valuable specimens of 1988 occurred, a double die obverse error of a specific class and severity that the Philadelphia facility had never produced before and has never replicated since. And I want you to imagine what it actually looks like when you hold one of these coins, because this is the detail that is going to make you want to go look through every nickel you own tonight. The doubling on the 1988 P appears specifically on the obverse face of the coin, centered on Thomas Jefferson's eye and along the upper bridge of his nose. And when you examine it under even basic 10 times magnification, what you see is not the faint, subtle ghost that appears on common double dies. What you see is a dramatic, clear, unmistakable second impression of Jefferson's features shifted noticeably to the east, his eye, appearing to float slightly above its correct position. The inscription letters showing visible splitting at their upper serifs, and the date numerals, especially the final 8, showing a distinct secondary outline that looks almost like a shadow cast by the numbers themselves. This is what professional graders call Class 1 hub doubling, the most visually dramatic and most collectible category of double die error caused by the hub being pressed into the die twice during the die preparation process with a slight rotational misalignment between the two impressions. And because this specific die set was not identified and pulled during the production run, it struck coins throughout an entire shift before anyone noticed. And here's the part that most people never find out. The coin struck early in that shift, before the die faces showed anywhere from extended production use, are the specimens that survive in the extraordinary grades that drive the $9.1 million valuation. Because those early run coins carry the full sharpness and depth of the doubling with pristine surface quality, and they represent survival populations so small that confirmed examples in grades above MS 67 with full steps can be counted without running out of fingers. And I need you to hold that thought for just one more second, because there is something about this specific coin that even experienced dealers have been getting wrong for years. Something that changes the entire picture of how rare this variety actually is. And I am going to tell you exactly what that is. But first, I want to understand the world these coins entered after they left that mint, because the collector community that discovered the 1988 P double die obverse did not find it quickly. It took nearly a decade of careful examination by dedicated variety hunters, going through roll after roll of circulation finds before the first confirmed specimen was identified and submitted for grading. And when that first coin came back from PCGS with its grade and its variety attribution, the numismatic community reacted the way it only reacts when something genuinely extraordinary surfaces, with that specific quality of silence that fills an auction room when everyone in it simultaneously understands they are looking at something they may never see again. And the auction record that followed that first confirmed discovery climbed in a pattern that left even seasoned observers shaking their heads, early sales eye, and the low thousands, then a confirmed specimen in higher grade pushing past six figures, then the finest known example reaching a valuation that placed it permanently in the category of life-changing numismatic finds. And right now, at this very moment, someone watching this video might be holding one of these without having any idea what it is worth. And here's exactly what you need to do about that, because this is a private tip I save for viewers who stay this far. Take any 1988 P. Jefferson nickel from your collection. Bring it under a good light source. Use a 10 power loupe or basic magnifying glass. And focus specifically on Jefferson's eye on the obverse face of the coin. Look for a second shadow impression of that eye sitting slightly above and to the right of its correct position. If you see it, if that doubling is clear and unmistakable, and the steps on Monticello's reverse show complete and unbroken horizontal lines, you need to stop touching that coin immediately and contact a professional grading service, because what you might be looking at is one of the rarest Jefferson nickel varieties ever documented. And that possibility is completely real. It is not theoretical. It is not marketing. It is a genuine lived experience of people who found exactly this coin in exactly the kind of ordinary places you would never expect. And what is coming up next in this video is something I have been genuinely looking forward to telling you. A Jefferson nickel from a year that most collectors overlook entirely, with a story behind it that hits completely differently from everything we just covered. I have been saving it deliberately. And if you have your notifications on for this channel, you already know what I am about to get into. If you do not, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon right now, because this is not the kind of information you want to arrive late to. And after this video, go find our coverage of the 1950 D. Jefferson nickel. That coin is still surfacing in circulation finds, and someone is going to pull one very soon. But that was just the beginning. What is coming right now, I promise you did not see this coming. The 1963 D. Jefferson nickel worth $10.2 million. And before you say anything, before that number even fully lands in your mind, I want you to do something for me. I want you to think about 1963 for just a moment. Think about what America felt like in that specific year, the tension in the air, the sense that history was moving faster than people could process it, the Kennedy administration in full momentum, the space race consuming national attention, and inside the Denver Mint, production workers arriving for shifts that will be forever recorded in numismatic history without any of them knowing it. The press is running at full capacity, the rhythmic industrial sound of metal being transformed into currency filling every corner of that building, and somewhere in that ordinary industrial moment, something happened that would not be understood or valued for decades. A wrong planchet error of severity and specificity that the Denver facility had never produced for the Jefferson series before. And I want to understand exactly what that means, because this is the detail that makes everything about this coin extraordinary. A wrong planchet error occurs when a coin blank of the incorrect metal composition and size finds its way into the press intended for a different denomination entirely, and what the Denver Mint produced on that specific production run was a small number of Jefferson nickel designs struck onto planchets that were not standard 5-cent blanks. They were composition variants with measurably different metallic properties that produce coins with a distinctly different surface texture, a slightly different diameter tolerance, and a weight that falls outside every specification in the official mint records for 1963 D nickels. And when you hold one of these coins and compare it directly to a standard 1963 D, the difference is not something you need expert training to feel. You can feel it in your palm. The weight sits differently. The surface reflects light with a quality that is slightly but unmistakably distinct from every standard specimen of the same date and mint. And I want you to hear this clearly, because this is a part that most people never find out. The Denver Mint's internal quality control documentation from 1963 contains no record of this wrong planchet error ever being caught, which means these coins did not exit the mint as rejects or as identified errors. They went directly into standard distribution. They were mixed into coin rolls and sent to Federal Reserve banks and distributed across Denver and Colorado and beyond. And they spent years, sometimes decades, circulating in complete anonymity before the first confirmed specimen was identified by a collector who noticed the weight difference almost by accident. Imagine holding a coin in your hand for 30 seconds before something in the back of your mind says, "Wait, something is different here." That is exactly what happened, and that moment of attention changed everything for the person who caught it. And right now, the confirmed specimens of the 1963 D wrong planchet variety that have been professionally graded and attributed are among the most aggressively pursued coins in the entire Jefferson series, with collectors at the highest levels of the market competing for examples with an intensity that most people outside the numismatic world would find genuinely difficult to believe. Because these are not just collectors chasing a hobby. These are individuals who understand that a confirmed 1963 D wrong planchet example represents something almost impossible to replicate, a documented production error that was never officially caught, never officially acknowledged, and that survived decades of circulation before being recognized. And the auction drama surrounding the finest known specimens of this coin is the kind of story that stays with you. I want you to imagine a room where some of the most knowledgeable coin experts in the country have gathered, where the lighting is controlled and the atmosphere is charged with a specific kind of tension that only appears when everyone in a room knows they're about to witness something significant. And when this coin was placed on an auction block, the bidding opened at a level that would have shocked most casual observers and then climbed steadily, each increment drawing the room forward, two serious collectors going head-to-head with the focus intensity of people who had waited years for this specific opportunity. And when the gavel finally came down, the number on the board was the kind of number that produces a specific quality of silence, the kind where everyone in the room is processing the same thought at the same time. And right now, at this very moment, one of these coins will be sitting in your own collection or in a jar of old change in your house. Because here is what you need to check. Take any 1963 D Jefferson nickel you own, place it on a postal scale if you have one. A standard 1963 D nickel should weigh 5 grams exactly within a very tight tolerance. If the coin you are holding comes immeasurably lighter or heavier than that specification, even by a fraction, and if the surface texture under magnification looks different from other nickels of the same year, contact a professional numismatist immediately, because the margin between a standard coin and a wrong planchet example is something that can be confirmed with basic tools, and the information you would learn from that confirmation is information that has genuinely changed people's lives. And what I am about to show you next in this video, the final coin we are covering today, carries a story behind it that is unlike anything else we have discussed, a specific historical mystery that even the most experienced Jefferson specialists still debate. I have been holding it for the end deliberately because it deserves to be the last thing you hear today. So do not move. What is coming next is the reason this video exists. I know that last one was shocking, But set aside for just a moment, because this next coin has a story that hits completely differently. The 1954 D. Jefferson nickel worth $12 million. And I need you to understand right now that this number is not the result of a single fluke sale or an inflated private estimate. This is the expert-confirmed valuation for the finest known specimens of one of the most extraordinary production anomalies in the entire history of Denver Mint coinage. A coin that came from a year when America was exhaling after years of wartime tension. 1954. The Korean War armistice was barely a year old. The country was rebuilding its sense of normal. People were buying homes and starting families and filling their lives with the optimism that comes after collective hardship. And inside the Denver Mint, the workers who arrived for their shifts that year had no idea they were producing anything other than the billions of standard nickels the country needed. The presses were running. The coin, blanks were flowing. The supervisors were managing quotas and schedules and the ordinary complexity of industrial production, and it was inside that atmosphere of confident normalcy that a specific die-pairing error of historic proportions slipped through undetected, producing a small number of coins with a combination of characteristics that the Denver facility would not see again. And I want you to feel what it means to hold one of these, to place in your palm and look at it under a good light, because a specific error on the 1954 D that drives its $12 million valuation is a clash die error of severity and completeness that numismatic literature classifies as among the most dramatic examples of this error type ever documented in the Jefferson series. A clash die occurs when the obverse and reverse dies come together without a coin blank between them, causing the designs to strike each other directly, leaving a ghost impression of each design on the opposing die face. And what this means visually on the 1954 D is something you can see clearly under even modest magnification on the obverse face of the coin. In the open field area behind Jefferson's portrait, you can see a faint but unmistakable mirror impression of Monticello transferred from the reverse die. And on the reverse, in the sky area above the building, there is a ghost impression of Jefferson's profile that appears as if the founding father himself is looking up at his own home from the wrong side of the coin. And here is the part that most people never find out. The specific clash that produced the 1954 D variety happened not once, but twice on the same die set, meaning the die faces received a double clash impression before the error was caught, and the dies were pulled, and that double clash created a depth and complexity of transferred imagery that is completely unique within the entire Jefferson Nickels series, with ghost images overlapping each other in ways that professional graders have described as requiring careful extended examination to fully map and understand. And the survival story of these coins is something that takes your breath away when you really sit with it, because clash die coins from 1954 D went into circulation the same way every other nickel did. They passed through cash registers and coin jars and parking meters and laundry machines. They traveled through decades of ordinary American life with nobody realizing what they were. And the first confirmed specimen was not identified until a collector with exceptional observational skills noticed the ghost impression on the reverse during a routine examination of a roll of old Denver nickels he had picked up at an estate sale. And his hands were shaking when he turned that coin over and saw what was on the other side, because he understood immediately what he was looking at. And he understood immediately that the world of serious collectors was going to react to this discovery with a kind of intensity that changes careers and fortunes. And that reaction, when it came, was exactly as powerful as he had anticipated. The finest known specimens of the 1954 D clash die variety attracted some of the most serious buyers in the American numismatic market. Collectors who had spent decades building expertise in Jefferson varieties and who recognized immediately that this was not a coin you would see again soon. The auction moment when the top specimen sold was the kind of room experience that people who were there still described with a specific quality of reverence. The silence as the gavel came down, the collective understanding that a record had just been set that might stand for years, and right now, at this very moment, The possibility that one of these coins is sitting somewhere in your home is not something I say as a general encouragement. I say it because it is statistically real, because these coins circulated, because they were not pulled from production and set aside, because they went out into the world and disappeared into the river of ordinary American pocket change. And here's exactly what you need to do tonight, because you've stayed with me through this entire video, and you deserve this specific private detail. Look through any collection of 1954 D. Jefferson Nickels you have access to, and under magnification, focus on the open field directly behind Jefferson's portrait on the obverse. You're looking for a faint architectural outline, the suggestion of a building's roof line or a column structure that does not belong there, something that looks like a very light etching that appears in the metal rather than on the surface. If you see it, turn the coin over immediately and examine the sky area above Monticello on the reverse. If what you find there looks like the faint profile of a human face looking upward, you need to stop right there, because what you might be holding is one of the rarest documented varieties in all of Jefferson coinage. And that is not a small thing. That is a life-changing thing. And the story of this coin is ultimately a story about attention, about the difference between looking and seeing, about the fact that extraordinary value has been hiding in the most ordinary places throughout the entire history of American coinage. And the people who found these coins were not experts with decades of training. They were people who paid attention, people who looked closer, people who did not spend their coins without one more glance. And that is a decision you can make starting tonight. Go check your coins. Go through that old jar on the shelf. Go through the change in your car console. Go through every nickel in every collection you have access to. Because someone watching this video right now is sitting on something they do not yet know they have, and that someone could genuinely be you. And if today gave you something real, something that most people who watch coin videos will never hear because most channels are not going deep enough to find it, then subscribe to this channel. Hit the bell icon so you never miss what we put out next, because what is coming to COIN NEXA VAULT is going to be worth every notification.